Have you ever wondered how a simple thought, like deciding to pick up a cup of coffee, turns into an action? Or how you can recall a memory from years ago in an instant? The magic behind it all lies within the intricate communication network of our brains, a system composed of billions of tiny cells called neurons. Today, we're going on a journey to unlock the secrets of how these neurons talk to each other, a process that underpins everything we think, feel, and do. Imagine your brain as a bustling city. The neurons are the residents, and they need a way to send messages to each other quickly and efficiently. They don't use phones or email. Instead, they use a fascinating combination of electricity and chemistry. This process is the foundation of our consciousness, our memories, and our ability to interact with the world. Let's start with the electrical part of the message. Think of a single neuron as a long, thin wire. When a neuron needs to send a signal, it generates a tiny electrical pulse called an action potential. This isn't like the steady flow of electricity in your home's wiring. It's more like a wave, a brief, all-or-nothing spike of electrical energy that travels down the length of the neuron from one end to the other. This wave, the action potential, races along the neuron's main cable, called the axon, at incredible speeds. We're talking up to 270 miles per hour. It's like a lightning-fast messenger sprinting to its destination. But what happens when this electrical message reaches the end of the line? The neuron can't just zap the next one. This is where the communication switches from electrical to chemical at a special junction called a synapse. The synapse is a tiny gap between the sending neuron and the receiving neuron. When our electrical action potential arrives at the end of the sending neuron, it triggers the release of special chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. Think of these neurotransmitters as tiny messages in a bottle, each carrying a specific instruction. These bottles are released from the sending cell and float across the tiny synaptic gap. On the other side of the gap, the receiving neuron is waiting. Its surface is covered with specialized landing pads called receptors, which are perfectly shaped to catch specific neurotransmitters like a key fitting into a lock. When a neurotransmitter molecule binds to its corresponding receptor, it delivers its message. This binding action is the crucial moment of communication. What happens next depends on the type of neurotransmitter and the type of receptor. In many cases, this chemical handshake triggers a new electrical event in the receiving neuron. If the signal is strong enough, it can generate a brand new action potential, continuing the message's journey through the neural network. This is how a signal can cascade from one neuron to the next, forming a chain of communication that can traverse entire regions of the brain. But it's not always about just passing the signal on. The brain's communication system is incredibly sophisticated. There are different types of receptors that allow for more nuanced conversations between neurons. One major class of receptors are called ionotropic receptors. When a neurotransmitter binds to them, they act like a gate that opens instantly, allowing charged particles, or ions, to rush into the receiving cell. This causes a very rapid change in the cell's electrical state, either exciting it to fire its own action potential or inhibiting it, making it less likely to fire. It's a fast, direct, on or off kind of signal. Now, let's explore a different, more subtle kind of neuronal conversation, mediated by what are called metabotropic receptors. These receptors don't form a channel themselves. Instead, when a neurotransmitter binds to them, they kickstart a slower, more complex chain reaction inside the cell. Think of it less like flipping a switch and more like starting a domino rally. This process involves a series of proteins and enzymes within the postsynaptic neuron. The effect is slower to start, but can be much longer lasting and more widespread than the rapid jolt from an ionotropic receptor. Instead of just a quick fire or don't fire message, metabotropic receptors can change the neuron's overall excitability for seconds, minutes, or even longer. They can fine-tune the neuron's metabolism, alter gene expression, or change how responsive the neuron will be to future signals. It is like adjusting the volume knob on a stereo rather than just turning it on or off. This ability to produce slower, longer-lasting effects is absolutely critical for the brain's ability to learn and adapt. This brings us to two fascinating concepts known as long-term potentiation, or LTP, and long-term depression, or LTD. These are the cellular mechanisms behind learning and memory. Long-term potentiation is essentially the process of strengthening the connection, the synapse, between two neurons. Imagine two neurons that frequently communicate through mechanisms often involving metabotropic receptors. This repeated communication makes the receiving neuron more sensitive to the sending neuron's signals. The synapse becomes more efficient. It's the brain's way of saying, hey, this connection is important. Let's make it stronger. This is how memories are thought to be encoded and stored, by strengthening specific neural pathways. On the flip side, we have long-term depression, or LTD. This is the process of weakening a synaptic connection. If a neural pathway is used infrequently, the connection between those neurons can become less efficient. It's the brain's way of pruning away unimportant connections, decluttering the network to make it more efficient. This use it or lose it principle allows our brains to remain flexible and adapt to new information and experiences throughout our lives. So, from a single electrical spark to a complex chemical cascade that rewires the very connections in our brain, neuron communication is a breathtakingly elegant process. It's a constant, dynamic dance of electricity and chemistry that enables us to perceive the world, form thoughts, feel emotions, and build a lifetime of memories. The next time you learn a new skill or recall a cherished moment, take a second to appreciate the trillions of microscopic conversations happening inside your head, making it all possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the brain. If you found this journey as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more explorations into the wonders of science. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to learn about next. Until then, stay curious.